Hello there, welcome to part 2 of Chapter 5, Section 4, Point Slope Form. As we just finished writing an equation in point slope form, which you see on the screen right here, number 11 in your notes, and we are now ready to move on to the next page. I'm going to put my shade up here again, just so that we can stay together. This chapter is very technical, and it's complicated, and it takes some work if you're going to do well in it, and I hope you do. This says, what is the graph of the equation y plus 7 equals negative 4/5 times x minus 4? So again, we learned in the previous video that point slope form is y minus y sub 1, which is equal to the slope, times the quantity x minus x sub 1, where x1, y1 are a specific point sitting on my line. So it says, circle the ordered pair of a point of this graph, y plus 7 equals negative 4/5 x minus 4. Well, let's consider this here for a moment. This says minus y sub 1. Okay, so this is y sub 1, this plus 7. So that means y sub 1 is actually equal to negative 7 because it's plus 7 and the equation is minus. So it's minus y sub 1. So if it's plus, that means it would be minus negative 7. And right here it says minus 4. So that means x sub 1, which is this part, x sub 1 is equal to positive 4. So that means I know the point 4, negative 7 is on my line from this equation right here. Okay, so it says circle the ordered pair. I'm looking for 4, negative 7, which is right there. That's the only point at this time that I know is sitting on my line. None of these others sit on my line that I know. I could test and find out, but I only know that 4, negative 7 is the one on my line. So it says circle the correct description of the slope. Well, the slope, this is important here that we know that the slope is negative 4 over 5. So that means it's negative 4/5. So that means it could go down 4 and right 5. Or it could go up 4, left 5, which we'll look at that in a moment. But let's see if down 4, right 5 is on here. Up 4, left 5. Does that work? Well, let's see. Down 4, right 5 would be the same as going up 4 and left 5. So let's come back to that because that's not what I had written there. Let's come back to that and see what the others do here. This one says go down 4 and left 5. Well, that's not it because that would actually create a positive line. If I went down 4 over 5, I would have a line that goes like this. So I know it's not that one. How about this one? This says go up 4 and then right 5. Well, that's not it either because that also creates, so I think it's number 1 here. So going back to a point I started to make here about this slope, I know if it's m equals negative 4/5, that's the same thing as negative 4 over 5, which it would be down 4, right 5. Or it could be 4 over negative 5. These are all the same thing here. Now that would be up 4, left 5. That would actually create a negative line, which is the first one right here. Now this is important that you understand that all three of these numbers right here are the same thing. So it doesn't matter where the negative sign is in that value. So now it's asking us to graph this line. Use your answers in this exercise to graph the line here. So the first thing, so to graph a line, the first thing I have to do is plot a point on the line. You have to know the point is on the line. Plot the point on the line. There's only one point that we know is on the line, and that is the point 4, negative 7. So let's plot that on the point here, on the line, on the grid right here. 4, negative 7 is right here. Now before I go on, I just realized something. Notice that these are counting by 2's, and when we do the slope, we actually need to count by 1. So I'm going to put these little marks in here just to remind myself that that's 2 marks right there. So when we do the slope here, you have to count it correctly to get your your line graphed right. So number 2, after you've plotted a point on the line, then what you have to do is use the slope, okay, to find another point. Because you have to find another point to create your line. So here I am, this is a point that I know is on the line. So my slope is negative 4/5. So if you recall how we talked about you could go down right, Okay, down 4, right 5, or you could go up 4, left 5. Well, watch what happens if I go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm actually off the grid. Now I could guess, and I could go ahead and try to find that, but that's not a good way to graph. We want to stay on the graph. But I'll show you where I'd end up about if I went down 4 and then right 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'd end up right about there. But again, we don't want to use that point for our line if we can find one that is on the grid. So I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to use this slope here. Okay, I'm going to try going up 4, left 5, and see what happens. Up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to go left 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I end up right there. So now I'm going to grab a line, and you need to use a straight edge, and I'm going to connect those 2 points, and you'll see if I do connect those points, that does get pretty close to going through that other point that I made. And I'm going to stretch my line, and honestly I would rather just keep that line on the grid instead of taking it off the grid like I did at first. I'd rather just do it like that. I'd like the line to show up balanced through the whole graph, and there we have that line graphed right there. So that's how, given point slope form, you can create a graph of a line. Okay, we have one more part to wrap up here before we're done, and that is to use this. Let's say that they give us 2 points and they want you now to write an equation using this point slope information. So it says use the point -2, -3 to write the equation of the line shown. So here's what they've shown me. They've shown me this point is -2, -3, and they've shown me this point 1, 4. Okay, well, we learned earlier this year that we can find the slope given 2 points. So the first thing we have to do is right here, find the slope. And I'm going to put my shade up here so you can stay focused with me. Find the slope of the line using this formula, y sub 2 minus y sub 1. So to find the slope of this line, that's what I'm going to do first. Okay, I'm going to take y sub 2, and it doesn't matter which one you pick. So I'll let this be the first point. So that'll be like x1, y1, and this will be the second point. Whoops, x2, y2. So x sub 2 is 4 minus y sub 2 is -3. You subtract the values of y divided by the values of x. 1 minus -2. Now you want to change that to addition, and you want to change that to addition, and you can see you're just simply doing 4 plus 3 is 7, and 1 plus 2 is 3. So that is the slope. Okay, so 7/3 is the slope of this line. Keep it like that. Do not change that into a decimal. Keep it. So the slope of this line is 7/3, and with that information, we're going to use this point to write an equation in point slope form. Point slope form, again, x minus, whoops, I just wrote that wrong, didn't I? It should be y. Here we go. Y minus y sub 2 is equal to the slope, m, times x minus, I said y sub 2, y sub 1. X minus x sub 1. The truth is, you could use either one of these points to make an equation. Now they have asked us to use -2, -3, so that's what I'm going to use in this formula, which they just wrote right there. And so I'm just going to substitute y minus, okay, y sub 1 is this, that -3, so it's y minus -3 is equal to the slope is 7/3, and x minus the x value is -2. And so the final answer here, I prefer to keep it addition, so it's going to be y plus 3 is equal to 7/3 times x plus 2. And there you have it. So we've done a lot in this video. Point slope form, you're going to have to master this and get really comfortable knowing which equation to use, whether it's point slope or slope intercept forms, based on the information that you have in a problem. And it gets pretty tricky when we put it all together like that. So that's what you need to know for today, and we'll see you soon.